We begin week 5 of the all-time rosters franchise with a good one out of Charlotte. The all-time Carolina Panthers, the all-time New Orleans Saints. A critical battle out of this division. Ingram for the Saints helped lift New Orleans to a 13-0 lead late in the half, but Newton, on just his second touchdown pass of the day, gives the Panthers life going into the second half, and then Thomas Davis gives them more life, forcing a fumble that Chris Jenkins would recover. The Panthers would kick another field goal and receive the coin toss to begin overtime. Musa Muhammad with an OT first down, and then D'Angelo Williams appeared to set up another one, but the Panthers' Jeff Otah commits a brutal holding penalty, and Carolina would stall at the 47-yard line. New Orleans, who gained nearly 400 yards on the day, they would begin overtime with a big run from Alvin Kamara, an outstanding throw from Breeze here to the 40, and then Joe Horn, who had over 100 yards on the day, catches the game winner in overtime. A thrilling comeback from Carolina thwarted by Horn, who torches Josh Norman here and wins the game, pulling out the cell phone for the Saints as New Orleans improves to 3-2 with this overtime victory in Carolina. 312 yards from star quarterback of the Saints, Drew Brees. Randall Cunningham comes into the game at Orchard Park with the second highest passer rating in the whole league and 0 interceptions. The Eagles quarterback off to a hot start yet again in Buffalo. A 53-yard dazzling play late in the first quarter to Mike Quick sets him up with a touchdown. 3 plays later, it's Cunningham to Tommy McDonald, his third touchdown catch of the season. Eagles led 10-0 with under a minute left in the half, and then OJ strikes to begin the third quarter, and then Thurman Thomas, the backup, ties the game at 10 late in the third. Then the door breaks off for Philadelphia. Cunningham coughs up a fumble recovered by the defense, and then Cunningham throws a back-breaking interception right into the hands of Nate Clements. Who even knows what he was thinking on that play? The defensive player of the week with the touchdown, and then Cunningham turns it over again to close the game. A collapse from Philadelphia, 27-10 in Buffalo. The all-time Cincinnati Bengals are having a tough time scoring points on offense this season, so the defense picked up the slack. A sack fumble from Tim Crumry and a recovery touchdown from Geno Atkins to begin the game for the Bengals. Corey Dillon runs in for his first touchdown of the year, and Cincinnati wins on the road, 14-3. There wasn't much offense in Jacksonville, and even less at New Meadowlands Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 6-0, the 1-3 Giants in front by 2 field goals, and the offense closes the game with a third down conversion from Odell Beckham of the New York Giants. 6-0, that is all, but the Giants are back into the thick of things in what is a rough NFC East. The all-time Pittsburgh Steelers have been the gold standard of the National Football League with the most Super Bowls in the NFL, 6. They take on the mixture of the Titans Oilers today, a win and they're 5-0. In Heinz Field, how about Hines Ward? 2 more touchdowns to push his total for a league-high 4. It seemed the entire defense got a hand on it for the Titans Oilers, but Hines Ward comes away with it nonetheless. Steelers knock out Tennessee Houston 27-13. A big day from Franco Harris, who is just under 400 yards rushing this season, and Pittsburgh is 5-0, a game and a half up of Cleveland in the AFC North. Deshaun Watson to the all-time Houston Texans are winless this season, but they have been in just about every game this season. They battle the all-time Raiders today. Houston backup Dominic Williams, part of the inception of the franchise in the early 2000s with the touchdown, and then Cushing finds the end zone too. The Raiders, after a putrid first quarter, came back with a strong second quarter. Touchdowns from Fred Biletnikoff and Marcus Allen, and it's a field goal game as Biletnikoff finds the sideline for the all-time Raiders. Watson tosses one to Willie Brown, who has his first interception of the season, and the all-time Raiders would cap this one off with another touchdown from Bo Jackson, his 4th of the year. The all-time Texans offense did gain over 300 yards on the day, a lot of that without Johnson, who made his first catch of the game there. Then on 3rd and goal with a chance to take the lead, denied there on a Watson overthrow. The Texans, who were a play away from defeating the Steelers last week, a play away from the late lead, and it's Joel Dreesen running back from the end zone to the 3-yard line, and he suffers an abdominal tear off of the turnover on downs. The Texans are going to need to sign a backup tight end behind Owen Daniels by next week as the Raiders win this one by 4. An exciting matchup coming in between two perennial MVPs, Patrick Mahomes and Peyton Manning. Unfortunately for the Colts, Mahomes was the one that showed up today. Not too often, Tyreek Hill wins a jump ball, but the 5'10 receiver did there for the Chiefs. He finds the end zone again, and then Mahomes throws his third touchdown to a leaping Travis Kelce. And the Hall of Fame quarterback with another outstanding day now has 10 touchdowns to tie Roethlisberger and Fouts for the league lead. Speaking of Hall of Fame performances, all-day Adrian Peterson had his best day of the season against the all-time Arizona St. Louis Cardinals. Minnesota, the shocking team out of the NFC, has begun the season 0-4. The Cardinals have not been much better. Fitzgerald gives the Cardinals the late lead 7-6, but the offense stalls with 3.5 minutes to go, and the Vikings lean on their Hall of Fame running back. Adrian Peterson with a 25-yard gash to begin the drive, and then he'd force the Cardinals to use all their timeouts. A second down run to win the game from Peterson here. An unreal performance, 184 yards in the Vikings win. The all-time Vikings are now 1-4 this season. The Vikings will visit the vaunted all-time Bears next week. Adrian Peterson has jumped into the 2 spot on the league's rushing list this season. Two of the all-time legends of the National Football League, Tom Brady against Joe Montana. The winner is 4-1 this season. Joe Montana and the Niners were on their A game early. Jerry Rice winning a jump ball here for San Francisco. Then Gore runs in for the touchdown. And to put the capper on this one, San Francisco finds the end zone again. It's Jerry Rice yet again for the Niner touchdown. 21-0 at the end of the third quarter. This game was over until it wasn't. Tom Brady goes deep and finds Evans, who had an outstanding day, 55 of his 111 yards on the day right there. Then Billy Wilson loses a fumble recovered by Ronde Barber, the defense. And Brady wasted no time. The king of the comeback on 2 plays finds the end zone again. First touchdown of the season from tight end Rob Gronkowski. The Niners sweating it out in the game's final minutes, lean on Frank Gore and that outstanding offensive line, and they would push the Bucs aside. A top 10 defense in all-time Tampa Bay. No contest late. Niners win 24-14 and stand alone by a game and a half atop the NFC West at 4-1 overall. From Invesco Field in Mile High, we bring you the all-time roster franchise game of the week for Week 5. A critical showdown out of the AFC West, and John Elway, who had a field day against the strong defense of the Chargers, throws 2 long touchdown passes in the first quarter. The very defense that held Marino and the Dolphins to 7 points last week gave up a whole lot more in this one. While the Chargers do have a very deep receiving core, they will dearly miss the Hall of Fame Charlie Joyner, who broke his collarbone late in the first half, will miss the next 6 games for San Diego, LA. The Chargers, a few plays later, would cap off that drive with Fouts' only touchdown of the day. Kellen Winslow, who had a phenomenal performance against Denver, reels in the touchdown. The Paul Lowe gives the Chargers the late lead. It's 20-14 late in the ball game. First of many big catches on the day for DT, rest in peace, another one there, as he turns it upfield for a gain of 23. Broncos driving late in the fourth quarter here, 4th and goal, game on the line, and John Elway, who's made some clutch plays with his feet, scores the go-ahead touchdown for Denver. The Broncos, however, did leave a lot of time for the high-powered Chargers offense. Fouts goes deep and finds Vincent Jackson for his only catch on the day, a gain of 60. And 2 plays later, LT finds the end zone, and a 2-pointer is good from Kellen Winslow. Ironically, the Broncos got a lot of time back on their next drive, and a miracle happens here as Lionel Taylor somehow stays in bounds on this play with the Chargers all over the pass. After the catch from Taylor, then an incompletion. On 2nd and goal in the final play of regulation, Elway finds Brandon Marshall in a sensational drive, and the all-time Broncos force overtime with a thrilling catch from Marshall. Chargers win the opening toss of OT and begin with a big play from LaDainian Tomlinson. After a slow first half, the Hall of Fame Tomlinson had a brilliant second half and overtime, runs the Chargers into the red zone, and Cameron Dicker splits the uprights. He is 8 for 8 on field goals, and the all-time Chargers win it in overtime. A great day from both quarterbacks, but Fouts and the Chargers steal one on the road. We've seen some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time make legendary game-winning plays in Week 5 of the All-Time Rosters franchise. None different here, as Brady finds Stanley Morgan late in the fourth quarter to give the all-time Patriots the lead 14-10. But can Hall of Famer Joe Namath bounce back? He cannot. One of 2 interceptions on the day from Mike Haynes of the all-time Patriots, and New England Boston ices it with a Jim Nantz touchdown run. The all-time Patriots have won 2 in a row to crawl back into the AFC East conversation. They are tied with the Jets at the bottom, but only a game and a half back of division-leading Miami. Sunday Night Football out of Atlanta. The all-time Packers' Davante Adams reels in his first touchdown of the season for Green Bay. And the Packers are 5-0 this season, knocking out Atlanta 23-6. A classic showdown out of the NFC North between 2 of the original franchises of the NFL, courtesy of 4 Jason Hanson field goals and a safety, first of the league this season from Wayne Walker. The all-time Lions lead at the end of the third quarter 14-0. A thrilling fourth quarter out of Detroit, beginning with this 3rd and 13 conversion to Iron Mike. A 33-yard gain, and then the next play, another Brandon Marshall sighting, this time for the all-time Bears. It's 14-7. Detroit on their next drive ends with a turnover as Richard Dent recovers a forced fumble from Mike Singletary. A vicious hit from the Hall of Fame linebacker for the Bears. Chicago leaning on sweetness to tie the game, but a critical and real late flag on a hold against the Bears backs them up to a 3rd and 11, and Sid Luckman perplexingly does not give his offense a chance for the first. After the field goal, credit to Barry Sanders in Detroit as he'd iron out the clock and win the game. He had had a rough month of the season, but Sanders has his first 100-yard day for Detroit, and the all-time Lions pull off the upset 14-10, 108 yards for Sanders, who is 11th in the league in rushing. So in the NFC North, Green Bay's running away with it at 5-0. They have a critical matchup against the all-time Rams next week, who enjoyed a bye. In the NFC, Green Bay is just about lapping the field. San Francisco is the only other team, 3 games or more above 500 at 4-1. Meanwhile, the AFC likewise won on a runaway by the Steelers. Credit the all-time Chiefs and Chargers, who are dominating in the AFC West this season. Kansas City won the head-to-head over the Chargers in Week 3. The highest-rated quarterback in NFL history, no surprise, the highest-rated quarterback in this league, Aaron Rodgers. Dan Fouts leads the league in passing yards. He has been brilliant for the Chargers this season. Curtis Martin was running away with the rushing title early in the year, but he has cooled off the last few games. Jim Nantz, same story, but he still is averaging a sizzling 6.9 yards per carry. The league's leading receiver is one of the most underrated wideouts in NFL history in Hall of Famer Don Hudson, as good as any wideout outside of Rice in NFL history. Bobby Wagner is running away with the tackle lead of the all-time Rosters franchise. And the tackle for loss leader, to no huge surprise, is one of the vicious linebackers of the 80s, Andre Tippett. J.J. Watt tied with Dexter Manley for the league lead in sacks with 7 apiece. And in terms of interceptions, the linebacker of the Steelers, Jack Ham, has the early lead with 3, and a whole host of defenders have 2. Meanwhile, in the pass deflection category, the Raiders' Mike Haynes with 9, Derek Brooks, linebacker of the Bucs, and Champ Bailey has 6. Chargers lead the league with the most offensive yards this season. The all-time Chargers have a bye in Week 6. Washington just had their bye, so they enjoy the fewest yards allowed through 4 games of the all-time Rosters franchise. It should be noted Washington has a pivotal Week 6 game against Philadelphia at home. That is part of a whole host of exciting games coming up for the all-time Rosters franchise. Congratulations to the players of the week. We bring you the scores from Week 5 and a preview of next Sunday. Before then, we have the injury report tomorrow. Check out who Houston signs with Joel Dreesen out for a couple of games. Charlie Joyner is out. What are they going to do with the depth chart? That and a whole lot more coming up This is the All-Time Rosters franchise with Charger Dude 95.